Today, I want to kind of pose a different take on the Phoenix Suns, because I think originally when the Bradley Beal trade happened, everyone thought Phoenix was absolutely screwed, right, with their future, because they traded away, all their first round picks, all their second round picks, to basically get Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. And they were basically screwed, right? They had no future. They had really no young assets. They had no draft picks. They had really nothing. And it seemed like, if this Beal and Booker and Durant, if this pairing doesn't work out in 2024, that the Suns would be absolutely screwed. But I've kind of been finding something that nobody's talking about with what the Phoenix Suns have been doing this offseason. And this is all the moves they've made centered around this Bradley Beal trade. So really the first thing I think that went unnoticed in this Beal trade was that they got back Jordan Goodwin and Isaiah Todd. Now, Isaiah Todd did get flipped, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but getting Jordan Goodwin, that was an absolute steal. It's also tied into what the Suns did with campaign, and I will also get to that later in the video as well. But yeah, Jordan Goodwin, an excellent backup point guard. This was his second year in the NBA last season. Didn't get much playing time with the Wizards in 2022, but showed out and became a staple in their rotation last season. Just a solid point guard, right? Doesn't turn over much, can score, can pass, can shoot, controls the game really well. And so getting a backup point guard like that, who's still only 24 years old and who's on a cheap contract, right? Somebody that can run the second unit, when Beal and Booker are not on the court, that was huge for the Suns. And like I said, I think the big advantage is that he's young too, right? Still only 24 years old. He's got potential to improve. And with his playmaking, right, with that need at the backup point guard position for Phoenix, he's going to fill a huge role. So that's a huge thing, right? The Suns got Jordan Goodwin. Nobody's talking about that, right? They got their backup point guard that they really need. But here's the next thing, right? They flipped Isaiah Todd for even more second round draft picks. And I will put that trade up on the screen. But yeah, flipping Isaiah Todd and getting a young asset, right, to flip for more picks, that was huge as well, because now the Phoenix Suns, they got 3 more second round picks back, which are draft assets that they can even use in future trades, right? So that was key too, helping to replenish some of their draft picks. But then another thing, they were forced to basically trade away campaign, right? Obviously, the new CBA with the luxury tax implications, obviously that's a huge thing. But new owner Matt Ishbia, right, he said he's kind of willing to pay those penalties, but clearly he traded away campaign for a salary move. But this was also a big thing too. But with trading away campaign, they got even more second round picks back, right? And they were able to get Bobo, another excellent young asset. And yes, Bobo has his flaws, right? He's not the perfect player. He kind of fell out of the Magic's rotation, but he's going to be extremely useful, I think, next year for the Suns team, right? A young player they can develop, but also he's 7'2", right? He's switchable. He can do a lot of different things on the court. And like I said, he's got potential to be a really good player in this league. So just kind of recap all this for a second, right? With the Bradley Beal trade, everybody talks about that, right? They got off Chris Paul's contract in a sense. Now they're taking on Beal, which in a sense may seem like a worse contract, right? Because you're going to be paying him $50 million a year for basically the next, 4 to 5 years. And a lot of people were talking about that, right? Is Bradley Beal an upgrade? They basically gave away like all their draft assets, so it didn't really look like a good thing. But the media basically failed to mention all the moves that they did surrounding this Bradley Beal trade. Now they have 6 second round picks. They're able to get Bobo. They even drafted Toumani Camara from Dayton in the second round. He's another young asset as well. So now they have 3 really good young players, right? Bobo, Toumani Camara, Jordan Goodwin, and they now have 6 second round picks. And this was all centered from the Bradley Beal trade, a trade that originally was thought to have drained all their draft assets. And the Phoenix Suns didn't do that, right? They did not screw themselves. And also the good part is they made all these moves before the new CBA went into effect. So they were able to use cash in one of those trades. I forget which one exactly, but man, Phoenix, they did a really good sneaky job this offseason because yes, like I said, everybody was kind of, I don't want to say clowning the Beal trade, but like it didn't look good in the outset because of, how many years of his contract was left and the fact that you were paying, a somewhat injury prone guy $50 million a year. But man, the Phoenix Suns, right, got 3 good young players, got 6 second round picks. They replenished their draft assets to use in future trades. They got off of Cameron Payne's contract before the new CBA went into effect, and they replaced him with basically a younger version of campaign, right? A good backup point guard that's going to help them in the future, that has potential to continue to improve. So I think the Phoenix Suns, man, like, I know it doesn't look like it from the outset, but I think they might have been one of the teams that won this offseason. And on top of that, right, their roster, they got a lot of solid 3-and-D wings for fairly cheap. I mean, the fact that they were able to sign Eric Gordon, a guy who's averaged like 13 points a game on over 40% from 3 for the past few years, he was really good for the Clippers last season. That was a steal too. He may be their 5th starter. They also got Yuta Watanabe, right? A guy I've talked about from the Brooklyn Nets. Really elite corner 3-point shooter, right? Provides a lot of energy, defense, and hustle to the team. He could earn that 5th starter spot as well. And they got another guy, Keita Bates-Diop. I know he's not really a flashy name as well, but he could possibly get that 5th starter spot as well. He was really excellent for San Antonio last year, starting a lot of games for them, averaged around 9 points a game on over 40% from three. A good, solid, lengthy defender. Like I said, these guys aren't really flashy names, maybe besides Eric Gordon, I guess, because I know he's been, sixth man of the year. But the fact that the Suns were able to replenish their depth like that too, and they got some backup centers, right? They got Drew Eubanks, they got Chimezi Metu, they were able to re-sign Damian Lee, who averaged 8 points per game on 44% from three, and they got Josh Okogie back, who had a career year for the Suns as well. Super good defender, super athletic, and improve his three-point shooting, right? This Phoenix Suns team is kind of low-key sneaky deep, but all this was centered around the moves they did this offseason. Not just the Bradley Beal trade, but the trade with Isaiah Todd, right, to get back 3 second-round picks, the trade for campaign, right, and a salary dump to get more second-round picks back, and then, right, basically signing Bobo as well. I don't know if that exactly worked in the sign and trade. Like I said, not totally sure too much about that, but still, to replenish your young assets, right? You got Jordan Goodwin, you got Bobo, you got Josh Okogie in a sense, right? You got Toumani Camara in the draft, and now you got all these second-round picks that you can use in future trades, right? And in a sense, they're just draft assets in the future, right? So if you keep them, you can get young players, right, to, let's say, build around your bench if you can't sign certain guys in free agency. So I think the Phoenix Suns, they set themselves up extremely well. And yes, their roster is like extremely expensive, right? Like with, those 4 guys on max contract, with those 4 guys on max contracts, right? They're already taking up the whole salary cap. But the fact they're able to fill out their roster like they did with guys on like all minimum contracts and getting really good value contracts and getting back all these second round picks for basically Isaiah Todd and campaign, that was an absolute steal. So props to the Suns front office, props to Matt Ishbia. The Suns are doing things that, like I said, I haven't really been talked about. So that's why I want to mention them in this video, all the trades that the Suns did to get more second round picks, right? The fact they draft Toumani Camara, getting Bobo, getting Jordan Goodwin, right? Basically replenishing their young assets and draft picks when nobody thought they could or would. So like I said, just want to highlight that with the Suns. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.